Marking out the leg, so the first thing we're doing here is just measuring 60mm from the bottom of the leg. We need to grab our tri-square and with a nice sharp pencil square that off. Trace that line all around the edges and remember to work off your original line. That way you avoid any error. The next thing to do is the rail will go through that gap there. So grab a tri-square, push that up so you can only just see the line. So you can see that line just there. Okay, remove that and pencil that in. Repeat the process, so marking that all the way around. At the top of the leg, we will mark out our bridle. So in starting your bridle, grab another piece that's 19mm thick. Use a tri-square as your spacer and using your square, so pushing the square up, and once that steel rule is flush with the end, so I'll just put that there like that so you can see, take that off and now pencil along your tri-square. Working off the original line on our edges and mark that in. Now for marking out the mortise, I have set the marking gauge to 18mm. And I want to check first that I have set it up correctly. The mortise will be 6mm. So firstly, I'm going to just put a dot right on the line at the finish point. And I'm going to do the same on this side. So I'm going to put my dot just there so you can see two dots that are right next to each other. Grab your 6mm chisel and just check that the chisel fits between the two. If they don't, if it's out, you need to check that the marking gauge is set up correctly. Okay, this here is fine, so we can go ahead and scribe our lines. So you'll notice with the marking gauge how that's set up. Actually position the pin, so you can see that pin there. We position it so it's on an angle and we drag the pin. So nice and firmly, and then around this side, do the same. I'll pencil them in so I can see. And then turn this over, do the exact same process on the other side. So we go, there's a dot, put the dot at the end point. That helps us know when we need to stop so we don't scribe on the nice part of our leg. Okay, 2 hands on the marking gauge and that should stop there. We pencil this in and mark our waist. That there will be our mortise. On the opposite side or of the leg or the top of our leg, we're going to mark the bridle joint. So from here, what I've done is I've set the marking gauge to 14mm and we're going to just check that our measurements are correct. Firstly, put in dots between. The chisel we're using here is a 13mm, so it is going to be slightly smaller, but that's okay. So we should have about 1mm extra between those two. So that lines up there. So now If it wasn't correct, this is where you change the measurement for your marking gauge to get it correct. What I'm going to do, because I have it correct, I'm going to scribe my lines in. There. The end grain's a bit tricky. Just push that down nice and firm. See that? And then this side here. And we just pencil that in. The center of this is our waist, so let's just put across there. On that side as well, and that's what the bridle on the top of your leg should look like marked out. So marking out your tenon on the rail, the first step is to grab your tri-square, another piece of material that you had that's 19mm thick, and a steel rule. Just slide that all the way to the end, okay, till the steel rule is flush with your bottom rail, the end grain there, and take those away like we did with the other ones and pencil in. And we're going to repeat this process around, so again, work off that original line. That will help you avoid making an error all the way around. And let's repeat that process on the opposite side here. So we should have a line that's roughly 20mm away from the end of our piece of our rail. Next, what you want to do is mark out the lines for the tenon. So set your marking gauge to 6.5mm. Make sure that is accurate. So to test its accuracy, same thing. Just put your dot down the bottom from both sides. Grab your 6mm because the tenon will be 6mm to fit into the mortise, which is also 6mm. And just check that that chisel fits in between those two dots. If it doesn't, this is the right time now to fix up any marking out error. You don't want it to get too late. Because that fits in there nicely, I can continue with my lines. So scribing both, and we drag that pin nicely like so. The end grain's a little bit tricky, just nice and firm. Okay, I'll go over that line a few times there, just so it's nice and distinct. Like so. And let's do this side as well. And again, we put a dot on the finish line. That way we don't go any further than that. The last thing you want to have on your rail is these scratch marks randomly under there. So just, it should stop on that dot. And again, then pencil those in. So do that, that's your tenon, do that for both sides. Here we're going to mark out the top seat rail for frame B. A little bit different to frame A, instead of coming in 30mm from the end, we're actually going to come in 50mm. So grabbing your steel rule, pencil your mark. The same on this side. 50 mil. Tri-square. And mark this all the way around. Same on your other side. Grab a piece of timber that has 19 mil thickness, that's the same as your legs. With your tri-square, slide that up until you can only just see the pencil mark on the opposite side. So I can only see just a bit of pencil mark, there's no timber there. Take the top away, pencil that one in. And if we turn this around, okay, do the exact same to the other side. So pushing that up. Oops, I've gone too far. Straighten it back up. Pencil mark there. Take this away. Make sure you are marking out with a sharp pencil. And let's work off that line to mark that all the way around. In finishing off the bridle joints on the top seat rail, set your marking gauge to 14 mil. Just put your dots again on the bottom line and grab your 13 mil beveled edge chisel and just test it, see that that fits. This is the perfect time to fix up your measuring if it's incorrect. I'm happy with that, so I'm going to scribe my lines with the marking gauge, both sides here. Turn this over to the opposite side. And finally, mark the waist, which is the outside thirds. That's what the top of your rail should look like. I've just